In StarCraft 2 co-op, there are 60 mutators. These mutators can be divided into 7 categories: vision, economic, environmental, pacing, acrobatic, multitask, and head-on. Vision mutators affect the player's vision. Economic mutators affect the player's economy. Environmental mutators make it difficult to move around the map. Pacing mutators make it slower for the player to do the objective. Acrobatic mutators require players to adjust their playstyles. Multitask mutators require players to be in multiple places at once. And head-on mutators are mutators that the player has to deal with head-on. Last time, we talked about Heroes from the Storm on various maps. If you missed that, you can go check it out first and then come back here. Today, we're going to talk about the heroes themselves. First, we have Raynor. He is considered the weakest hero of the Heroes from the Storm. He has 1000 HP, 1 armor, and he has 1 ability which does 80 damage in a line, 20-second cooldown. It doesn't go from low ground to high ground, and he uses it if he sees a ground unit. So usually if you see Raynor in Heroes from the Storm, you can just breathe a sigh of relief because he doesn't do much damage. Early game, he might kill some of your units, but otherwise he's not threatening. Tychus has 1000 HP, 1 armor, and he has a Shredder Grenade. Also not very dangerous, but low HP units can get destroyed really easily, so be careful. Later on, he's also not very threatening. Dehaka has 1500 HP, 1 armor. He has 3 abilities. His first ability is the most annoying one. He pulls and stuns a unit from 7 range, and he does it every 10 seconds. He prefers high HP units. He can mend, so he heals himself and nearby allies of his, and he also generates spawns. So you generally want to use a sacrificial unit to make him generate his spawns since they don't go very far. And you also use another sacrificial unit, even a worker, so that he pulls it and then your army hopefully gangs up on him before he can pull again. Karax, 750 HP, 750 shields. He just warps cannons and monoliths. They don't go away after he dies. Karax is not that threatening. Nova, one of the most threatening heroes. She has a lot of HP, and she has some armor, and she snipes, so you know what that's like. She only targets units with 200 HP or more, and she does it as long as she has energy. She has a nuke, and she uses it when the nuke can deal at least 1200 damage to 4 units. Later on, I'm going to explain how each commander can bait out the nuke. She does this every 60 seconds, so if you don't kill her within a minute, she's going to do it again. Zagara has a lot of life, 2250, and she also has energy, and she uses her energy for her 4 abilities. The first one is Baneling Barrage, just like regular Zagara. Second one is Hunter Killers. She spawns 4 instead of 6, fortunately. Mass Frenzy, she uses it when she encounters your units, and there are at least 5 of her friendly units, or for you, 5 enemy units nearby. This ability is hardly noticeable. The most noticeable ability of hers is Roach Drop. She drops 20 roaches from 10 drop pods, and she uses it when she can deal at least 1500 damage to at least 2 units. So she basically wants to drop roaches on top of you. And in most cases, you're not going to be able to dodge this, and it's not that threatening. So you just kind of expect a bunch of roaches to fight you. Zeratul has a lot of HP and a lot of shields, and he's really strong because his Shadow Blade, he spins around and does a lot of damage every 6 seconds. The good thing about Zeratul is he does not hit air, so you use air units against him. He also has Void Armor, so sometimes you see these little green triangles around enemy units, so they get extra shields. Not too strong, but it's noticeable, but not crazy. Artanis has a lot of HP and a lot of armor. He uses melee attacks versus ground, and he has a ranged attack versus air. He has Lightning Dash, which does 100 damage and can hit 3 units. So usually he will use this on ground units, which is why you should use air units against him. He uses Lightning Dash when it can deal at least 200 damage. Yeah, when he can charge into 2 units or more. He has Astral Wind, which gives his units extra HP and shields. And he has Resurgence, so he gains invulnerability for 3 seconds, deals 100 damage around him, and then gets all his life back. And if you don't kill him again within 60 seconds, he does it again. So, tough. Kerrigan has 5,000 HP, fortunately does not have any armor, and she has 3 abilities. Her regular attack also does a lot of damage compared to other heroes. Her Psionic Shift does a lot of damage to ground enemies, so that's why you should also fight her with air units. She uses it when she can hit at least 3 units and can do at least 100 damage. So if you're fighting her like one-on-one, she's not going to Psionic Shift. She also has Leaping Strike, where she jumps on units that have 150 HP or more, and she does Apocalypse, which is her AoE thing. And it does a lot of damage. She uses it when she can deal at least 600 damage to 4 units. Not the same as Nova, but the way you bait it out is pretty much the same. So how do you bait Nova's nuke and Kerrigan's Apocalypse? Well, you need at least 4 units. For Nova, she needs to do at least 1200 damage. For the Apocalypse, she needs to do at least 600. The most common method you can use is to get close and then run your army away, but you might lose some units. So there are safer ways to do this. And the methods that are listed here are for the nuke, so you need at least 1200 damage. I would say that you can just memorize this and use it for both of them since it's safer. However, you can use half of this number if necessary for Apocalypse. Usually, I would say just use the same number so that you don't have to remember 2 different numbers. Raynor, you just let a bunch of mines get nuked. You don't really have another option. You can move a bunch of vultures if she's alone, but you don't want to lose your vultures to the accompanying enemy units. For Kerrigan, you just dump 4 Omega Worms, let them get nuked. Artanis, you use 10 to 12 Zealots. This is more than 1200, but you might lose some to enemies in the attack wave. You want to make sure you have at least 1200 HP worth of Zealots. Swan uses floating factories, so just 4 of them. Zagara, you basically need a lot of Lings or 4 sacrificial evils, same role as the Omega Worms. For Vorazun, you have 8 to 10 DTs with Blink, so that when she nukes, you blink away. For Carax, you build a pylon and 3 shield batteries if you're using P1 or P3 with structure HP. And if you're using P2 with combat units HP, then you make 6 Sentinels to bait out the nuke. You can also use shield batteries, but I think Sentinels are better because they're more mobile. Abathur, you use 4 units, so 3 Brutalists plus a Toxic Nest, just randomly dump it, or a Locust or a Leviathan and just run away. For Alarak, you can use 8 to 10 Supplicants and bait the nuke, but Alarak's preferred method of dealing with Nova is to force field her away from anything, so she can't even nuke anything. Alternatively, you can make a pylon and 3 sacrificial buildings if your Havocs are out of position, you have these ready to take a nuke. For Nova, you throw down 4 Raven turrets because each turret has a lot of HP. You can always throw more, they're pretty much expendable. Stukov, you often don't care about her nuke, but if you want to not lose your infested so you can push faster, you have 1 or 2 walking barracks plus your infested trail. Phoenix P2 doesn't care about the nuke, so yeah, you just keep fighting. Dahaka, you want the Locust from 5 to 6 creeper hosts to bait the nuke, and then the Locust can explode on her. Or you can use 4 primal worms. Han Horner uses 18 to 20 Reapers, but fewer if they're Hellbats. In general, you don't bait the nuke from Nova. Instead, you just F2A your army. If it's the first time you face her and you can plan, you probably will use Call in the Fleet to take her out. Tychus can use serious turrets, but Sam should just throw his stun grenade on her, and that's how you usually deal with her before she even nukes. Zeratul uses cannon projections. Sometimes she doesn't nuke even though there are cannon projections, so I don't know, it's kind of strange. If you don't bait out her nuke, she will start sniping Zeratul to death, and it's really, really painful. Stetman doesn't care because he has hardened shieldlings. If they get nuked, they don't die. And if you are paying attention, you can use Blue Zone and just run away. Manx can use 4 supply bunkers. how does each commander deal damage to the heroes? You need a lot of damage. So Raynor generally uses Spider Mines and BCs. Kerrigan uses Ultras or Brute Lords, and you use Lings as Mineral Dump and Armor Shredding. Artanis uses Tempest with Zealots and Unbound Fanatics, as well as Solar Bombardment sometimes. Swan can mass floating factories or use Wraiths. You generally don't want to use turrets like Blaster Billies and stuff because they will just get killed by Nova, but you can spread them out so that Artanis has something to hit. Zagara just runs like F2A, tons of Lings and Banes. You probably want to throw your Banes first and then surround the heroes with Lings. Vorazun uses DTs and Oracles with Stasis Ward, and you also have Time Stop and Black Hole to help out. The Stasis Ward trap is where you Black Hole a group of heroes, and then you drop Stasis Wards right next to them. As they are trapped in the hole, you Stasis Ward them, and then you hit them. If they're not dead, you repeat this until they're gone. Carax, if you're using P1 or P3, you make Monoliths. If you're using P2, you use Shadow Cannons from Immortals, and later on you want to make Carriers. P1 also has Chrono Wave, so I think P1 is the best prestige against heroes. Abathur has Vipers with Guardians, Swarm Hosts, or Ravagers. Vipers are super good, and of course, don't forget Toxic Nests. Toxic Nests won't kill them, but it will weaken them a lot. Alarak uses Force Fields, Ascendants, Wrathwalkers. Nova uses Liberators. Stukov uses a Trail of Infested with Queens and Tanks. Infested Train, Infested Trail, whatever. Phoenix uses Caldalis. Dahaka uses a Pack Leader plus Guardians or Swarm Hosts. In general, Guardians are better, but you should add some Swarm Hosts as well because they're good for clearing bases and dealing damage to air units. Han Horner masses tons of Reapers with Ravens, uses BCs, plus Column the Fleet and Space Station, so all the top bars. Tychus relies on Sam. In the late game, you don't have enough charges, so it's a lot harder for Tychus later on. For Zeratul, you mass Cannons or Void Templar to deal with heroes. You can use Ambushers, but they're not as good. Stetman uses Lurkers because they have the focus strike algorithm, or you just mass Ultras to F2A. And Manx can mass Bunkers, ESOs, and add Aegis Guards. That'll be all for this lesson. Please like and subscribe if you would like to see more content like this. Good luck against Heroes from the Storm. Class dismissed.